Welcome to Your Ghana, My Ghana. We're on Graphic Online TV and I am Dede Amanor-Wilks. Our guest today is Lawrence Lomotey Narhkom. He's a talented jazz musician who once shared a stage with the legendary Hugh Masaka, and he happens to be the only Ghanaian trumpeter in the elite Grenadier Guards at Buckingham Palace in London. He's in Ghana for the holidays and we're going to find out whether he sees himself returning home after years working as a musician abroad. Welcome to the studio, Lawrence Lomotey Narhkom.
Thank you very much, Dede.
Thanks for being with us here today. But before we start our conversation, let's take a little look at Lomotey's life as a musician in the UK. If you've ever been to London and found yourself at Buckingham Palace staring in awe at the sheer quantity of gold adorning the Queen Victoria Memorial statue and wondering how much of that gold came from Ghana, Britain's former colony it named the Gold Coast, or if you ever decided to take your morning exercise in St. James's Park, which lies between the palace and Horse Guards Parade, where the ceremonial trooping of the colour takes place every June, well then, you've probably unknowingly already seen Lawrence Lomotey Narhkom or heard him on his trumpet as he marches through the park. He is the only Ghanaian and African musician in the elite Grenadier Guards, where he is employed as a professional cornet and trumpet player. Known historically for their bravery on the battlefield, the Grenadier Guards are part of the household division of the British Army. They're based at Wellington Barracks, just a few hundred metres from Buckingham Palace, for 70 years the main residence of Queen Elizabeth II and now of her son, King Charles II. 3 to 5 times each week, Lomotey Narhkom is visible in the band that leads the 5 household guard regiments to perform the changing of the guard ceremony at Buckingham Palace. The 5 regiments of the household division are the Coldstream, Scots, Irish and Welsh Guards. As part of that ceremony, they play marching band music as they lead the guard between Wellington Barracks, St. James's Palace and Buckingham Palace. In his spare time, Lomotey is a composer, performer and session musician, with visiting musicians who draw huge crowds among the Ghanaian community in London, like King of High Life Amachi Dede and popular gospel singers Diana Hamilton, Nasi and Ohima Mercy. He has also performed with Nigerian superstar Yemi Alade. Before each performance, Lomotey rehearses with a brass section at the Dominion Centre in North London. But Lomotey has an even bigger claim to fame. He once shared the stage with the legendary Hugh Masaka. He also played with an array of talented Ghanaian musicians before leaving Ghana to establish his career in the UK. Recently, in the popular BBC drama series Wolf Hall, Lomotey Narhkom played the part of John Blank, the 16th century black trumpeter in the court of Henry VIII. Ghana's lost riches lie not just in its gold. Its truest form of richness lies in its people, who have given their labour and talent to build civilizations all over the world. As Ghana begins a new year with a new government, it is surely time to think more purposefully about Ghanaians in the diaspora and to put in place plans to attract them home and integrate them in building a more vibrant and sustainable domestic economy of Ghana. So, Lomotey, or Lawrence, should I call you Lawrence or Lomotey?
Lomotey is good because we're in Ghana.
And in UK, they call you?
They call me Lawrence.
They call you Lawrence.
Because it's easier for them rather than Lomotey. So, yeah.
Okay, great, Lomotey. So how long have you been playing the trumpet and what other instruments do you play?
I have been playing for 3 decades. Professionally for about 21 years or so. I play the piano, so I started with the piano before the trumpet. I can play the drums. And yeah, that's about it, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how old were you when you left Ghana? And did you ever imagine you'd end up at Buckingham Palace?
The dream. It was a dream to be part of the Guards as a little boy.
Oh.
I didn't realize this because I was given a little toy that had these flipping images when you look through the lens. And one of the images I saw was the London buses.
Right.
Iconic London buses at double-decker, and then the Guards. So the desire was there, but it was only later on when I started doing this job that I thought to myself, actually, this was embedded as a child, and I didn't even realize, and I'm actually doing it now. You know,
incredible. So, it's only when you got there and started doing it that you remembered that was your childhood dream.
In retrospect, yeah.
Interesting. So tell us about your life before you left Ghana. What age did you leave Ghana? You did some pretty amazing gigs here, didn't you?
I did, yes. I was, I think, about 25 years when I left Ghana. I used to work with the Megastar band, which were under the leadership of Megastar, who also had various artists under their umbrella, including Amachi Dede, Juelaka, Tego Sisters, Reverend Johnson, Pat Thomas, J.D. Ambule, extensive list of artists. And we were the band that played with them, you know, various locations and iconic locations here in Ghana. So it was a very good life. And I remember... And
that was your full-time job?
That was my full-time job. I also was a choir director at Adenta Baptist Church while I was also leader of the Megastar band before I left for England. The reason why I went to England was I did lots of recordings. One of the famous ones that stands out will be Mami Justin's Okonkronye. And there's a trumpet solo in, and it was, you know, it was aired quite a bit.
It was aired here in Ghana.
Yes, it was. Mami, yeah, Okonkronye was a hit, and then Joyful Ways. I can't remember, but yeah, there was another trumpet solo in Joyful Ways recordings, and my little brother would call me one day and say, "Hey, I hear this trumpet solo on radio. Is that you?"
Wow.
And I go, "Yeah, that's me." So he'd sort of understood my sound or how I presented my work.
He could recognize you.
He could recognize my work. And that was one of the things I'd worked on for many years. Every musician must have a voice. How do you get a voice? It's by your presentation, the way you go about it, and that's how you know who Hugh Masaka is. Because I sat down as a boy to work out, how does anybody know who Lomotey is? He must present his music or his trumpeting in a certain way. How he organizes his solos and, you know, the ins and outs. And when he did that, I was really pleased because I think, I've done this. I've done this. Yeah, I've arrived. Yeah.
You consciously did it.
Yes.
So you're saying every musician must have a unique voice.
Yes, on your instrument.
On the instrument.
Yes.
Right.
So when you play, people must know that it's you.
Okay.
Without asking you.
Fantastic. And you just mentioned Hugh Masaka. Tell us about the day when you shared a stage with the legendary Hugh Masaka here in Ghana, right?
Yes, it was at the National Theatre, and it was a show that was put together between Kweku Sintim-Misa KSM, and Hugh Masaka, and it was for the elite of the Ghanaian community, because Kweku Sintim-Misa's crowd are quite elite, I think, and then obviously you got Hugh Masaka as well, so that was a huge collaboration, and it was packed, and I remember when we were getting ready for the performance, Hugh Masaka would come to me and say, or actually, final rehearsal, he goes, "I want you to be my solo partner on stage."
He said that to you?
Yes.
Wow,
yes.
That's amazing.
And I felt hugely honored. I didn't think he was going to pick me. I thought he was going to pick maybe a keyboardist or somebody else. But then he picked me, and I thought, okay, game on. And we go on stage, and I was ready. I was ready. It was a wonderful, wonderful sort of musical conversation between him and I.
What was the conversation about?
It was just so he plays, I play. He plays, I play. He plays, I play, and it was head to head, which is.
You don't have that footage. Do you have that footage?
I don't know where to find it.
Must be in the archives.
It must
I will
be
find
somewhere.
it for you. We have to find that.
Incredible. I'll be grateful if I could find it. And most of my colleagues would message me or call me and say, "Man, you did such a great job that day. You made us proud." Because he was big. Come on. And then they're asking, "Who's that little boy standing next to him?" You know, causing mayhem. Yeah. But yeah, I was.
And how did it happen that you came to be sharing the stage with him?
I mean,
before he selected you to do the solo with him, how did you get to be there in the first place?
He was looking for brass players, and somebody mentioned the name, so we were called upon and said, "Hey, Hugh wants to play." Whoa, wow, one of my icons, right? So I get there, and I went the first rehearsal. I'd gone to do a choir directing, and then I was coming back. And I was a little bit late. So when I got in, I was trying to sort of give him some rubbish. Anyway, it's like, hey, I know the game. Just
give him some rubbish about why you were late.
That's right. And he wasn't having it. But then he just get in the band and got the job. But then we created that sort of relationship and rapport. And as time went on, he just thought, right, this is the guy that I want to work with or to do the solo with. Maybe he enjoyed my solo work or the way I presented myself.
So he heard that unique voice that you're saying.
That's right, I think so, yeah.
That's extraordinary.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And then when you went to the UK, how did the soul of a musician cope with the rigors of military training with the British Army?
I've always had a desire to enhance my abilities or to be better at anything I do. I'm never satisfied. So if I learn something, I want to be better at it. I want to polish it. I want to make it good all the time. I'm hungry for more and to be better. So one of the things I needed to do was to read music, because I didn't read music. And then I thought, hey, how do you get to read music for free, right?
Join the British Army and get to read music for free.
Get to learn how to do it, because if I went
to the... Is that really what you were thinking?
One of the reasons. One of the reasons. So, when I was with Megastar, they gave us a salary, they gave us free accommodation, they gave us uniforms, we had roadies, we had transportation, we had per diems. It was a full package. So when I went to inquire into the British Army, it was a similar concept.
Oh, okay.
So that was the invitation. But on top of that, because I couldn't read music and they would be able to teach me, it made it even more desirable for me to go there and learn it. How do I learn it? I do an audition, I can play, but I can't read the music. And the guy who's auditioning me goes, well, I'm just going to give you a piece of music for you to read. In your own time, go, play. And I'm stood there and I'm watching the music because I can't read it. I've just read music to him that I learned, right?
Okay. You were pretending to read the music.
Yes,
okay.
Of course. And he's looking at me, he's just thinking, right. After about 2-3 minutes, he goes, "You can't read, can you?" And I go, no, I can't. So he goes, right, I'm just going to bring a grade 2 or something. So he brings a grade 2. So we've gone from...
A grade 2 piece of music?
Yeah, so we've gone from grade 5 to grade 2 or grade 1 or something. And I'm still stood there looking at this piece of music.
The notes mean nothing to you on paper.
Yeah, I can't do it.
Yeah.
So he goes, right, okay, we realized that you can't read music. That is not a problem.
Okay.
We can teach you that, but you can play. We know you can
He
play.
recognized you can play, right?
So that's the bit that we want or that we need. You can play. With reading, we can teach you that, no problem. So we're going to give you 6 months to get up to scratch with the music, and if you're unable to do that, we're going to have to let you go. Okay, so in my mind, I'm thinking, right, you're going to give me 6, I'll do it in 3, because I want the job, right? I want the job.
Right.
And I
And
want
the
to
job
learn-
is what? Musician in the British Army?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Okay.
And I'm like, right, I'll do it in 3 in my mind. I go, thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity, blah, blah. And 3 months later, they call me to the chief instructor's office, and he goes, I think he's a deputy chief instructor. He goes, Lawrence, I'm pleasantly surprised at your progress, and I think your probation ends today.
Wow.
And this is the 3-month period. I think, yes, got it.
Oh, well done.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so I worked tirelessly. I wouldn't sleep. I just kept practicing.
You were driven.
Over and over and over. I wouldn't miss a detail on the page, you know. It was hard to start with, but, you know, with anything, if you put your mind to it and you're dedicated,
Yes.
you will achieve it.
So within those 3 months, you could read what grade music?
Oh, 7, 8.
Okay, top grade.
Easy. I was doing it.
Everything.
I mean, the skill was there. That was
The musicality was there. You just had to learn
Yes,
with
the
the
musicality was
music.
there. I knew I had a passion for playing scales. I loved scales.
You know, most people hate scales.
That's right. Most musicians don't like scales, but I love scales because I think it's the pinnacle of a musician. That
The
enhances.
technical
It
ability.
enhances you. You know exactly where your bearings are. You know where even when you shut your eyes, you know exactly where you are. So that's sort of, and so when you come to actually read it and you're seeing it on the paper, you can relate. Oh, we're in this key. So these are some of the notes that I should be expecting along the way, or the fingering that I should expect. So then you start to put 1 and 2 together. It starts to marry as you go along.
Yeah.
And very quickly you think, right, here it is. Then the other problem was rhythms. Being able to understand the rhythms on the page. So I had to take time to master that too.
Is that the Latin? No.
So the rhythm is like you go pa pa or pa 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 pa, things like that. So those are the rhythmic. So you see it on the page and you think, oh, you pa 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 pa. What does it look like when it's written? You know, or and so on.
The bars and so forth.
So you have a bar of notes, and you have maybe, let's say it's in 2/4, or it's in 4/4, or it's in 6/8,
Okay.
and every bar will have different rhythms in it. Sometimes it's simple as pa 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 pa, or pa 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 pa, or pa pa da pa da pa da 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 da. Something like that,
Right.
So you have to be, and then learning how to read ahead of yourself,
Okay.
and understanding where you're going. Sometimes you get lost. It's part of the game, and then you sort of realign yourself and okay, here we are. And you have to be able to do that quickly if you get lost.
Right.
Because everybody else is just moving along.
Right. You're part of a band.
That's
you're
right.
not
Part
on
of the
your
band.
own.
Everybody gets lost at some point. So, but it's all great fun, yeah.
So now tell us how it all began.
Yeah, I remember my young cousin who came from England to visit my father, and she takes me to Labadi Beach. And while we're traveling in her car, she's giving me her bag to hold. And while we're traveling, I just start drumming on her bag and enjoying myself. And then she's like, my little cousin can do that stuff, So she's observed, and then she goes back home to drop me off and tells my dad, are you aware that your son is very talented? And my dad is sort of seeing it, but he doesn't really care because he wants me to be an MP.
An MP?
Yeah, member of parliament, and yes, I can speak clearly, and I'm eloquent and everything, but that's not my thing. Music is my thing. And so he's seen it, but he's brushed it to the side. My cousin go and say to him, look, this guy has something, and if you don't do something about it, I'll take him away from you to England, and somebody will train him to become, and that's when he sort of pecked up. And then I remember we went to a wedding, which was my cousin, John Tay Memorial School. His first son was getting married. I'm dressed in my political suit, with my shoes.
At what age now?
I'm about 5 or 6.
Still 5 or 6.
5 or 6. And I take my shoes off and I give it to somebody and I say, give me that bass drum. and I start going at it. But then everybody around knows the guy who's playing the bass drum, and they know he doesn't play like this.
Like this 5 to 6 year old boy.
This boy is doing something with this. And so it catches the attention of John Tay himself. And John Tay asks to see this boy. He doesn't know who this boy is. The boy turns up and it turns out that it's his own nephew. And his head just goes bam. And it goes to my dad, bring him to the school, he'll have a scholarship. So my dad takes me to the school, and then he decided to start me on the journey of the piano, because John Tay is a wizard on the piano. Man, that man, he can take a piece of music, he's never seen it before. He looked at it once, twice, shuts it, gives you the book. If you can read music, you read it, and he plays everything exactly as is on the page. And he's only just seen it. Man is a wizard. And he wants to make me one of the best musicians in the country by the age of 9. By 7, he dies. Or 7, 8, he dies. So the dream is gone.
Right.
But I carry on. I move on from learning the piano to now the trumpet. So at the age of 8, I move on from piano to the trumpet. And that's where the journey starts. And I'm less eating up the stuff. I'm learning stuff very quickly. But even before he died, he would invite my father around midnight, just come and listen to me play. Because he's going, look, people try and learn this stuff in many, many days. Your son has learned several pieces of music in a short period of time, and I want you to come and hear it. So I had to drive down and come and hear it. But then I started to develop this trumpet thing through as a boy, as part of the band. And then when I'm a teenager, I start also impacting the knowledge to the younger folk who are coming, because then I'm going on to secondary school and I'm leaving. So we have to teach the younger folk to take over our places. And then from secondary school, I decide to do music full time now. Dad is not very happy, but it's the whole thing is pronounced when Tego sisters drive to our home to ask his permission that they want to work with me. And they tell him the package, they tell him they're going to pay me. Every month they're going to give me accommodation. Your son hasn't got a problem.
And by this time, you're what age now?
19.
19, right,
Yeah.
okay. There's something curious. Maybe you've answered the question. I remember John Tay Memorial School. It was very inspiring. I used to go there, actually, during that period. And one curiosity is that John Tay could read music like that, but you went to UK and you couldn't read music when you were doing your...
I could read on the piano at 6. He was showing me how to do it.
He taught you to read music?
Yes, but the trumpet and the piano are different. Now, I obviously when I started playing the trumpet, because he died, we were just taught how to read it with the valves. So now I'm reading what I see, maybe a 1 valve, 2 valve, 1.5 valve, 1 and a 3 valve, rather than dots.
Okay.
So the tuition is different.
Okay.
So I learned that, I mastered that art very quickly. So you put a piece of music in front of me, as soon as I know the tune, bam, I'm gone.
Okay.
And then now I have to read it, but also the piano is a concert instrument. The trumpet is not a concert instrument. It's a transposed instrument. So I have to transpose it into another key to play.
Can you
There's
explain
a dilemma.
Explain
So
the piano is a concert instrument.
the trumpet is not. So the trumpet, so
It's a band instrument. Or what?
no. So when
Marching
it's a
instrument.
concert, is the sound.
Okay.
So the piano is playing in C, but the trumpet C is a B flat.
I see. Okay.
It sounds the same, but I'm actually in B flat.
Okay.
So when I sound my C is a piano B flat. When the piano sounds a C, it's my D.
Wow. So you have to read two sets of music in a way.
No, not two sets of music. So because I learned the piano and now I'm playing the trumpet, and it's only when I joined the army I was taught the difference in sound. I just learned it to play. So in the bands when we're playing, when the piano says C, I play C on the trumpet, but actually I'm playing my D because I'm transposed. That makes sense?
Yes.
Yes. So,
but the music you're reading is different from what the person next to you is reading. You have two different.
The piano.
So
the piano is reading differently,
different
and I'm reading. Yes. So you write it for piano, and you write it for me differently because if you give me the piano music, I need to transpose it, which is hard work.
Yes.
But if you're a trained musician, you can do it because we use that concept when we go to play in the Guards Chapel, for instance, when we play hymns. The music is all in piano music, and then you have to play your part, but you have to transpose it. So like the saxophonist has to transpose 6 octaves, or six notes above the piano to be able to play in key or in tune with the rest of the band. So like the tuba is same as the piano. They don't have to transpose. The euphonium, the flautists, for instance, but the French horns, the trumpets, I think the trombones are also in concert key as well. But anybody else has to transpose. But the saxophone is even worse because they have to do six notes above to be in tune with the piano.
Lomotey, you're not just a Queen's Guard, now a King's Guard at Buckingham Palace. In your spare time, you do all these other gigs. I actually even saw you last time I was in the UK. You were rehearsing for a gig with Diana Hamilton.
Correct.
Which drew a big Ghanaian crowd.
Yes, she always has a good crowd.
You played twice with her, I think.
Yes.
In North London with Green and lots of people. There were queues for hours before.
Correct.
Before the gig started.
Yeah.
Tell us who else you've played with while you've been out of Ghana.
I've had the privilege to work with Amachi Dede in London and in Germany, I think in Holland as well.
That's big.
Yeah, and I've worked with Nasi, Ohima Mercy, Wales. I think, that's all I can remember for now. But most of the time when the artists come, people assume that because I'm in the army, and some of them think that I'm in the army as a soldier, but I'm actually in the army as a musician.
But a trained soldier also.
I'm a trained soldier, yes.
But you're there as a musician.
But yes, music is my trade.
Right.
The army has 250 jobs, and one of the jobs there is music, and that's what I do. And people sort of conflict the two. They don't. Oh, he's a soldier. Oh, he's in the army. No, I'm actually a musician. I'm a non-commissioned officer in the British Army, and so sometimes they don't invite me for some of these gigs because they think, oh, he's in the army, or they've taken him to Afghanistan, or no. But actually, I'm on land because what I do requires me to do the changing of the guard ceremony, which is a big earner for the UK. Yes. So I got to work with Robbie Williams during the Queen's Jubilee at Buckingham Palace. That was huge. I've had a chance to play with the likes of Yemi Alade as well. And that's been an experience. She's a Nigerian superstar. Really, really, really great to work with her. The energy and the vibe. It's amazing. But that's
in the UK. Are you?
So we rehearsed in the UK. And then we performed in France. I also got the privilege, I was invited to do a recording for Wolf Hall, which It's a BBC series, and it features an array of British stars, the top British actors and actresses. And I was featured as John Blanc, who served in the court of Henry VIII. And this guy, nobody knows where he came from.
But a black trumpeter.
It's a black trumpeter.
In the time of
and he was in the House of Cavalry playing, fanfare trumpet. So you can see pictures of him, and I get to play him in Wolf Hall. So there's a scene of a wedding of a king, and so we sound this natural trumpets, and so it's quite a privilege really that I'm changing the guard. I'm playing with Yemi Alade. I'm playing with the Ghanaian artists, and then I get to play in a film set for Wolf Hall, which is
How did they find you?
Good question. I played with an orchestra called Chineke. Chineke is the first orchestra which diverse musicians from all over the world. So basically, if you're black or of an ethnic minority, you'll be invited to play with Chineke. And I played with Chineke. They are a classical organization, and the director of Chineke recommended me to the director of a theater organization. If I remember the name, I'll come back to it. But then she invited me to do a set with them at the Westminster Abbey. Shakespeare in the Abbey.
Okay.
Yeah, and so when we did that set, the lady who was running it came up to me and says, "I didn't realize we had good trumpet players out there, like black trumpet players,
What, they were going to use a white actor and paint them black? Or?
No, but she didn't realize that, they had good players. So she was impressed, and maybe 4 or 5 years down the line, when Wolf Hall came, she remembered me.
Okay.
And she
recommended you.
And she called me again and said, Lawrence, there's this black trumpeter thing going on, and I want you to be part of it. Which I was touched that she remembered me.
Yeah, that's what you said about the unique sound of your trumpet.
But not just that; it's just the ethic, the work ethic, and the rapport that we created. Because one of the things I do is I try to create rapport with the people that I work with, so that it's not just the work, but it's the interaction.
Yes.
And because you create memories, because you never know. You never know. Yes. And one of those moments came up after a few years, and this lady remembered me and called me up to come and do this.
Wonderful. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And looking to the future, do you see yourself coming back to Ghana ever? And what would bring you back to Ghana? With the technical skills you have now?
I absolutely love Ghana. Ghana is home. Ghana is beautiful. I love the dress I'm wearing now because I'm not cold.
Okay.
And I wake up and I see the sun every day. A lot. I want to give back what I know, what I've learned in terms of knowledge, in terms of efficiency, in terms of skill. So maybe even the military bands here, the military and the police bands, if I can go in and chip in something, if they need me to, if they need a variety of music, because I don't know if they've got an array of stuff, because we've got a huge library back in London, and we can bring some of the music here just so that they can enhance themselves and have the challenge of what we face over there, because some of the music is really challenging, really, really challenging. It puts you on your toes, literally. And because you're a professional musician, the guy comes, the music is distributed within 5-10 minutes, or sometimes 2 minutes, or a few seconds, and he drops the button and you're supposed to play. And he will take no prisoners, right? You've got to play. He's paid, you've been paid as a professional, go for it. So that sort of level of performance, because it's cutting edge, and it's pressure, a lot of pressure. You've got to be on your game all the time. You know, even our rehearsals in Wellington Barracks in London, people are viewing you. You're in the public eye. You know, so you can't turn up cold. You got to be on your mettle all the time. So it's a pressure gig. But how do you get over it? You make sure that you're ahead of the game. If there's a detail of music out and you're not sure, you get into your rehearsal room or practice or take it home, or just have the time to look through the music, embed it into and understand, see the intricacies, where the corners are, make sure you're okay with it, you know what's going on. So that sort of professionalism, bring that home to us, so we can be good too. I mean, I'm not saying we're not good, but we can be better.
So you're interested in being involved with the military bands?
Yes,
enhancing this
and other bands as well, because obviously when we look at even the contemporary side of things, there isn't much of the brass elements, in there, and some of the elements that are in there are just okay. We can make things better with collaboration and working together and stuff like that. So yeah, I'll be happy to bring that to the table.
And looking at the legacy of John Tay, you had the privilege of being at that school, which to me seemed like something very unique. A music school. I don't know whether there are many like that in Ghana. I don't know whether there's anything else like that in Ghana.
Probably not.
Have you thought about, maybe carrying on that legacy, a school where children could actually go from the age of, you went at the age of 6? Did you go 5 and 6?
Yes.
And actually make music their career. It's such a sad thing that he died. When you were just 7, you'd only been in the school for 1 or 2 years. But do you think that's a viable proposition?
That's an absolute viable. I even thought of bringing some of my colleagues down, some of the, because most of them are graduates and they have masters and doctorate degrees in the bands in London. So I could bring some of them down to give us, like a talk or maybe a master class or something, and that would really enhance us. How can we bring them to the military bands and, come down with them, stay a week at a time, maybe a month, who knows, and we can bring some knowledge down just so that our people know what's out there, because that's what drove me to go. I was thinking, is there anything more to the trumpet? And that's what drove me to go to England, because I almost felt like I had done it, everything in Ghana, I'd done it, what's left. So I went to England to seek some more knowledge and challenge. And yes, it has been an interesting, intriguing journey. But now it's time to come home. Now
you're ready to come home. And this is the season of giving. So a good place to end this conversation. I hope you've had a nice holiday.
I have, absolutely.
Wonderful.
Love it in Ghana.
Wonderful. Love it. Wonderful to have you in the studio.
Thank you so much.
Europe is very concerned about the numbers of people from developing countries migrating to their shores. But we should be just as concerned about the setback to African development of losing so much African talent. So thank you for joining us today. Our guest today has been Lawrence Lomotey Narhkom, and I am Dede Amanor-Wilks. Please don't forget to subscribe to Graphic Online TV's YouTube channel. I wish you Happy New Year and look forward to seeing you again next time.
For more news, please visit our website graphic.com.gh or follow us on Facebook at Daily Graphic and on YouTube and Twitter at GraphicGH.
Subscribe now.